What's going on, Blues? Welcome back to Life as an Evertonian. I've just got back from the game tonight at the Hill Dickinson Stadium where Everton have been beaten 1-0. This is our match reaction. Um, Obviously, the same result at Old Trafford, where obviously Everton that day won 1-0 with 10 men. United tonight with a resolute performance, to be fair. And I'm going to come on here and say tonight that that was, sorry, I've just got some notifications starting for some reason. Um, that was that was probably our best performance in terms of a defeat at the Hill Dickinson. Um, the lineup, I mentioned this in my pre-match. I had a feeling he may go for Jimmy Gardner at right back. Um, and then obviously Jared Branthwaite at left back. Um, Bumped into Paul tonight from Falcon Blues, and he got the word that that was going to be the lineup at the back, with Jared being at left back and Jimmy at right back. And what does that say really about our fullbacks that we've got at our disposable Blues? It's obviously Moisey doesn't fancy Nathan Patterson. Um, Seamus obviously isn't up to what he used to be like, with the injuries that he's had. Obviously, his last performance was against Man United, but he came off after 13 minutes. Michael Keane and Tarkowski at centre half. And I think we exposed ourselves a little bit in the second half by getting on the front foot, to be fair to the lads. Um, I think Harrison Armstrong could do better with that chance. With a massive chance that uh, at the turn of the second half, just Everton were pressing better, and we were trying to create more chances, um, but we're not creating enough. We're not creating enough clear cut chances. Blues, does that stem from? I firmly believe by not having attacking options in the fullback areas. Jimmy has done well tonight. That lad would do a job at right back. He'd do a job at centre half. He'd do a job at left back. He'd do a job anywhere across the midfield. He'd probably do a job up top. He's just a proper footballer. Um, and Jared obviously in there tonight, winning the headers, doubling up sometimes, helping out in centre half positions. Got himself a little bit higher in the second half. I don't mind the fact that Timur Aburum played and started. A bit sloppy in his passes in the infancy stage of the game. Needed to get a bit more cleaner with his passing. Just gone again, mopping up play. Had a decent game, to be fair, but I honestly believe he should have been brought off. There's a point in that game tonight where he should have been brought off. Surely we could throw on the likes of Tyler Diblin, Merlin Roll, but it just didn't happen. The substitution in Tyreek George, he changed the dynamics down that left hand side. I've got no problem with Harrison Armstrong playing on the left hand side and the right, switching with Illiman and Jai, but we need better fullbacks, and it's too evident to see, Blues, and we see it time and time again, week in, week out. But we have to wait patiently until the summer for that to be addressed. It should have been addressed anyway, but it is what it is. And I mean that within regards to the January transfer window and, of course, in the summer, but it didn't get done. Um, so, yeah, for Jared to be playing at left back, obviously, we've seen what Mikalenko offers in 4 years. Um, but you know what? If they played, and this sounds a little bit harsh, if they played Mikalenko at left back, we might not have got exposed with the United's goal in terms of pace if Jared would have been in there. Michael King he did catch up with him, but you know, Tarkowski didn't even keep up with the United striker, and obviously, it's just a frustrating result in the end. Again, I do feel that this was probably the best performance in terms of a defeat for us at home. Um, we just were lacking the quality. I think Keenan Dewsbury all tonight was guilty of getting in some good areas with space in front of him. And selecting to choose almost like a dead ball instead of like having a shot. There were a couple of occasions where he could have had a shot, and Tyreek George drifted in from the left hand side, came in very narrow, and he's popped a shot. And I was like, Keenan, that's what you should be doing as well. There were a couple of occasions where he could have done. Um, I think Iliman Njai, he isn't at the level where he was at before the AFCON. Um, I thought Tieno Barry tonight won a lot of headers, but just didn't have any chances. Nothing was really created for him. Um, yeah, just United dug in. United are showing, that they can win. They can win a game in different styles tonight. By that result, I think the Hill Dickinson Stadium tonight was better in terms of the fan base and the loudness of the stadium. We got behind them. We were feeling. I don't know. We're feeling like home tonight in periods. We just needed a goal, Blues, and I'm not going to knock the performance in terms of Everton wanted it tonight. They did. You could see the hard work. You could see the graft that they were putting in. And that's why we were singing Everton at the end. After getting beat 1-0, that's why we were clapping. And you could see the frustrations from the lads. They wanted it, and I don't know, better quality in the future. I do believe the fullback situation has got to get sorted massively in the summer. I think players need to get moved on. Um, like Mikalenko, obviously, Nathan Patterson, he doesn't fancy him. Seamus Coleman, obviously it's time for me to retire, to step down, possibly get a part of the coaching. Um, so there should be some additions brought in those fullback areas. Three potentially new fullbacks with the sale of, or the offloading of Mikalenko, etc. Nathan Patterson. I've said it on here, Blues. I think it's a bit harsh that Nathan Patterson has been dropped. Um, but it is what it is. I don't think the lads in the fullback areas tonight, you know, they did all right. Jimmy's done all right. Like I said, Jimmy can play well anywhere. Um, I don't know. It's just frustrating. I'm missing Jack Grealish. I am on that left hand side. I'm missing how he, gets on the ball and he's just calm, and how he wins his free kicks and stuff. And we're crying out for a mint left back. Um, but I don't know, Blues. Let me know your thoughts. I weren't expecting much tonight. I'll be honest. And there's games where I've been expecting to see Everton turn up and get a result, and they've not done it. So, listen, if it would have been a draw tonight, I think that would have been a fair result. But United did the job. Again, they're in a rich vein of form. I think that's moved them up to third in the league. Everton is still ninth. We're still in contention, Blues. We've got some big games coming up, some massive games coming up. I do believe we could go to Newcastle, and I think about how well we played last season at Newcastle. They've had a lot of games. I'm sure we could go there and get a result, a draw. And then, next Tuesday night, Burnley at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I am sick of these midweek games. They are hard work. They're bloody hard work. Taking my 9-year-old lad just got in now. It's technically he's got it getting in now in bed in midnight at midnight. He's up at 7:30 for school. Um, they're hard work. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't mind it if we were in Europe playing on a Thursday night or something, but it is what it is, Blues. Let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click that bell to turn on post notifications. Up the toffees, and I'll see you in the next one.